One of the things that Hasidim all around have been attacked for by people who have no clue at all is the reverence that Hasidim give their Rebbe. How can the Rebbe be an intermediary between one and God? Don't I pray directly to God? And in fact, Hasidim only pray directly to God. But why is it that when a person has a difficulty, they send a kvittel, a letter, a note, to a Rebbe for a blessing? And I ask those same people, when the snakes came and started biting people, whom did the people yell towards when they had the problem? When the waters were bitter and they could not drink the water after the Exodus, why did the people yell to Moses? Why weren't they going into the synagogue and beating down the Aron Kodesh and praying to God? The answer is they prayed to God. They also asked Moses to intervene on their behalf. And the reason for that is that all of Israel is one body, one integral unit. And the tzaddik, or the Talmid Chochem, is connected to God in a closer, constant way than the average person. That's just the way God has chosen. He's chosen certain souls to be business people, and certain souls to be teachers, and certain souls to be the conscience and the guide of the community. And those guides are sensitive to God. If they are true Jewish guides, then they're aware of God 24/7, not just when they study, not just when they shake and rattle and roll, but they're connected to God 24/7. They feel God's presence all the time and are always ready to pray for the sake of other Jews. That was the role of Moses. And the reason why Hasidim send a kvittel to the Rebbe, because they recognize that sometimes their own merits are not as powerful, and they need the merits of the prayers of the tzaddikim, who will get them to do more mitzvahs in order to attain the particular objects or item that they're trying to attain. Remember the story of the man who had open heart surgery. The Rebbe didn't just give him a blessing. The Rebbe taught him to keep the mitzvah of tefillin. And what the power of a tzaddik is that the tzaddik intercedes on behalf of the individual and says that he will make sure that the individual will worship God on a higher level. And in anticipation of those commandments, in anticipation of those mitzvahs that the person will do, the prayers of the tzaddik and of the person are answered. Anyone who says that this is deviating from the ways of the Torah is not just an ignoramus, but denies the Torah. There are countless times when the people yell to Moses. And why are they yelling to Moses if you're not allowed to yell to Moses, supposed to yell to God? Moses doesn't tell him, stop yelling at me, yell to God. Moses instead turns to God and asks God to help the people. And this is the secret of all of the reasons why Jews went to the holy people to ask them for blessings if they had no children, or if they needed a livelihood, or as in the case of Saul. Saul, his family lost some donkeys, so he went to seek them by the prophet Samuel, because the tzaddik was the seer, and he was sent among the people to see what they needed. And through realizing that there was a holy man who saw and who could intercede and pray on their behalf, that inspired Saul and people like him. King Saul went to Samuel to find the donkeys that his family had lost. Now, if you're only allowed to pray to God, how can you go to a prophet? The answer is that God sent us the prophets so that we should be aware of God's presence. The prophet is aware of God 24/7.